Washington Elementary School District presents an overview of bullying awareness and reporting procedures. Please note that while most of the presentation will advance itself, a mouse will be needed in some sections. Research in the United States and around the world has clearly demonstrated that bullying is a common and potentially damaging form of violence among children. Not only does bullying harm both its intended victims and the person responsible for the behavior, it also may affect the climate of schools and indirectly the ability of all students to learn. These are some of the reasons why it is important to receive information and training about this topic. Let's start with national statistics on bullying in schools. In a 2011 report, the National Education Association estimated that 160,000 children miss school every day due to fear of attack or intimidation by other students. The Crimes Against Children Research Center found that the number of online harassment or cyberbullying cases doubled from 2000 to 2010. 56% of students have witnessed some type of bullying at school, according to the Oveus Bully Prevention Program surveys. In a 2010 NEA survey, 62% of school staff indicated that they had witnessed bullying 2 or more times in the last month. These statistics are a few that have led to many districts implementing a formal policy on student violence, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. We will be reviewing the WESD policy and regulations as related to staff responsibilities throughout the remainder of this presentation. According to district policy, a student may give a report either verbally or in writing. Some school sites also have bully boxes available in different areas on the campus. An employee may become aware of a situation from a student who is experiencing bullying or believes another student is experiencing bullying. A verbal report will be documented in writing by the employee receiving the report. In accordance with new state guidelines, the district has updated its governing board policy in respect to bullying reporting. Effective immediately, any school employee who becomes aware of or suspects a student is being bullied shall immediately notify the principal or the principal's designee. Employees may initially give verbal notice to the principal or the principal's designee, but shall submit a written report to the principal or the principal designee within 1 school day of the verbal report. The attached complaint form is to be used. The complaint form should be used by the employee to document information about the event that they have witnessed or have been made aware of. Once completed, it should be given to the principal or their designee for investigation. According to governing board policy, failure to report a suspected case of bullying may result in an employee's disciplinary action up to suspension without pay or dismissal. Because of this liability, employees are advised to report any suspected case of bullying. As defined by governing board policy, bullying behavior, including cyberbullying, whether being performed by an individual or group, must include specific elements. First, bullying behavior can take place through written, verbal, physical, or emotional means. Secondly, the behavior has the effect of either physically harming a student, damaging a student's property, or placing a student in reasonable fear of harm or damage to property, or consists of actions, behaviors, or threats that create an intimidating, threatening, or abusive environment in the form of physical or emotional harm. The next element involves a behavior that occurs either on school grounds, school property, school buses, at school bus stops, at school-sponsored events and activities, and throughout the use of electronic technology or electronic communication equipment on school computers, networks, forums, or mailing lists, or outside of the school and the school day when such bullying results in a substantial physical, mental, or emotional negative effect on the victim while on school grounds as defined above, or when such acts interfere with the authority of the school system to maintain order. Finally, there are 2 key conditions that differentiate bullying. The behavior is sufficiently severe, persistent, or pervasive, and occurs when there is a real or perceived imbalance of power or strength. Some examples of bullying behavior include social exclusion or ostracism, derogatory comments made through verbal, printed, or graphic exposure, extortion, exploitation, damage to or theft of personal property, name-calling or rumor spreading either directly through another person or group or through cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is any act of bullying committed by use of electronic technology or electronic communication devices, including telephonic devices, social networking, and other internet communications on school computers, networks, forums and mailing lists, or other district-owned property, and by means of an individual's personal electronic media and equipment. Physical examples of bullying include, but are not limited to, hitting, kicking, pushing, tripping, or other physical attacks. While it is important to understand the legal definition of bullying, ultimately, it is not the responsibility of school employees to investigate, although information and details are appreciated. If ever in doubt as to whether behavior can be considered bullying, employees are advised to complete and submit a report. Once a report of alleged bullying has been submitted, the principal shall provide to the student who has allegedly been bullied a written copy of student rights, protections, and support services available to the student and shall notify the student's parents of the report. The principal or principal's designee shall initiate the investigation of any report of bullying as soon as feasible, but not later than 2 school days after the initial report. The investigation will be comprehensive to the extent determined appropriate by the principal or principal's designee and documented by the principal or the principal's designee. Following the investigation, several steps must take place. Should the principal or principal's designee determine that bullying has occurred, discipline will be administered pursuant to board policies JK, JKD, and JKE. Regardless of the outcome of the investigation, the principal or principal's designee will meet with the student who reported or was reported as being bullied to review the findings of the investigation. Subject to the restrictions of FERPA as set out by Policy JR, the parents or guardians of the involved students will be informed of the findings of the investigation. Documentation related to reported bullying and subsequent investigation shall be maintained by the district for not less than 6 years. In the event the district reports incidents to persons other than school officials or law enforcement, all individually identifiable information shall be redacted. Restrictions established by FERPA on disclosure of personal identifiable student information must be observed at all times. Retaliation or revenge by any student or staff member directed toward a student or employee related to the reporting of a case of bullying or a suspected case of bullying shall not be tolerated, and the individuals will be subject to discipline set out in applicable district policies and administrative regulations. Use of reprisals by any individual or individuals will be subject to discipline. Here are some keys to being aware of and responding to bullying behaviors. Respond quickly and consistently to bullying behaviors. Stay up to date about bullying behaviors on your campus. Know where hotspots are. Get involved in your campus's bullying prevention activities. You are responsible for reading and understanding WESD Board Policy JICK and Regulation JICK-R, Student Violence, Harassment, Intimidation, and Bullying, which are summarized in this presentation. This policy can be found at the website www.azsba.org. Thank you for participating in the Bullying Awareness Reporting Training. If you have any questions regarding bullying prevention, please contact District Legal Counsel or the Administrator of Social Services.